Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you a new series. What if Naruto became the shadow of Konoha after the war? Part 1 guys. If you want, go ahead and check it out for yourself, link will be in the description for you guys to enjoy. And also remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. And if you enjoy seeing 1C Part 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and comment down below and tell me that you want to see part 2. And I'll be posting that as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy, guys. And stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over and making 2 and then making 3. And yeah, without further ado, without wasting any more time, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. Before you guys start this episode, I want you guys to listen to this. Certain key details are going to be changing, like events that happen in the war. Certain events did not happen because things change. And one major cause of this, the Fox and Naruto never truly became friends, but Naruto has access to his power. Full access sees that he was able to defeat the Fox with the help of Killer Bee, and he tug of war with his chakra. But there's going to be a few minor details as well, so just listen and enjoy guys. And I really hope that you guys enjoy. So yeah. Without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Raindrop dropped through his hair and soaked through his clothes as they flow around marbles and petal. The memorial stone was larger than before to inscribe all the names on it that fell in battle. Naruto Uzumaki looked towards it. As he looked towards all the names that lost their life in the battle, to make him be seen as a war hero, his eyes were dimming from a lack of sleep, but nevertheless he preferred this than another sleepless night in bed. People didn't understand, especially not the civilians, who had never seen the battlefield, and the older shinobis who had saw too many. The blame that people placed on Naruto's shoulder for letting an S-class criminal escape followed him like an unwanted ghost. Naruto had vowed to kill Sasuke, but in the end he could not. Mercy was a stronger weapon, as Naruto occasionally wondered what happened to Sasuke after Madara interrupted the fight. Did Sasuke escape the battlefield of war, or did he die? His body unidentifiable like many others. Sasuke's name will never be amongst those that fell in battle. It will just be a memory in the back of Naruto's mind. Drenched by rain, his clothing started to sag on him as he stood with his eyes closed. Eventually, he would have dragged himself home and then put on that fake mask that he always wear, that mask of smiling and happiness. After all, the mask was nothing new to Naruto Uzumaki. "What do you want?" said Naruto, as his voice echoed in the rain. With the Kyuubi under his control, ever since, he could pinpoint everything better than an Inizaka by far. His ears caught every sound. His eyes were no Hyuga, but they were far from being normal. An Anbu with a boar mask flickered beside him. The Anbu wasn't impressed by Naruto. The title of war hero should not be bestowed upon some kid who could not get the job done when needed. "The Hokage summons you." In the middle of the night, said Naruto. "The Hokage suggests that you leave a clone behind." At those words, Naruto turned towards the man as he wondered, was the village under attack? Was there another organization hunting him down? Or was Granny drunk again? He greeted a clone as he sped off. His speed far surpassed the Anbu as he quickly moved. He did not hesitate to break through the window as he came to a stop by leaving a dent into the wall. "Who was attacking?" he said. As Natty rubbed her temple as she looked towards Naruto, who just destroyed part of her office in his mad run, and who was soaking wet, soaking her carpet. "You know, when I called for a secret meeting, I wanted to be a secret." Snavy yelled at her young, hopefully, soon-full successor. "How is it supposed to be a secret with a mysterious hole in my office?" "Window," she asked. As Naruto felt relief, the village was not under attack. "Oh, don't worry, I can fix it," he said. "Please no," said Snavy. "I'll just tell them I had to throw someone out of the window." A sudden gust of wind from the cold air swept in. Snavy's mood got even worse as she swore it would be Naruto she threw through the window. With the rain, cold, and a deep night, she decided to go against protocols as she poured herself a shot of sake, getting it from her decks as she poured it in a cup. As she drank deeply. "You haven't rehearsed any mission since the war ended," she said. "You sent for me in the middle of the night to ask why I stopped taking mission. So this is a mission then," said Naruto. "No, I'm asking why you haven't rehearsed a mission," said Snatty. As she looked over the blonde who avoided her eyes, it did not meet her gaze. She knew better than anyone that he earned a few months rest, but she never knew it would take this long for him to bounce back. Snatty was afraid that she knew the answer, already expecting it when Soccer complained that some days he wouldn't even leave his apartment. Naruto shrugged his shoulder. "I feel lost," he said. "Lost? Madara is gone. Sasuke is gone. There's nothing for me to do. When the world was saved by you, the old routine mission was not enough to excite you out of bed anymore." His feet seemed to wander around their purpose, searching for something he did not yet know. An Anbu mask was placed upon decks. Snatty would rather give Naruto off his job and a load of paperwork. But as a war hero, that was really impossible now. Sometime what kept enemy villages lying was the ninjas that you had to keep them there. The war has ended, but our battles have not. Ever, hidden villages weakened. We've all lost good ninjas and used valuable resources. In the way of our weakness, crime has escalated. New villages has established in the power vacuum and the world is on the brink of another war. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but Konoha needs you again," she said. "So, a mission," said Naruto as he looked at the mask. "I wish it was only that," she said. As Navi picked up the Anbu mask and held it. "This is yours, if you accept." As Naruto's eyes sparkled a bit. "Do I get a cool tattoo? And a sword as well?" "This isn't a game, Naruto," she said. "This is the next best step for you and the village," she said. The truth of the matter is, Naruto needed more experience. He was still young. He needed more experience before becoming Hokage. Well, a big example of that when he allowed Sasuke to escape. Anbus are ninjas who protect the village from the shadows. They are given the toughest jobs so our village can thrive in peace. This is a huge responsibility and one that has to be taken very seriously. "I will," said Naruto excitedly. He always wondered what it would be like to be part of the Anbu unit. He never thought he'd actually be one, technically. He was still a genin and Anbu was by invitation only. Even some of the best and most talented jonin was not cut out to be Anbu. The Hokage knew that. It took a special kind of person. If you decide to put this on, you can no longer be the loud, hard-headed ninja everyone expects you to be. You will be shadow, you will be silence. But most importantly, you will no longer be Naruto Uzumaki, she said. As Naruto nodded eagerly. This will give him a reason to come out of bed in the morning, a new purpose, a new goal in front of him. The Anbus are protected by secrecy, and because of this decision must be made here tonight. What's your answer? As Naruto picked up the mask. Why a dog? A fox would have been better, he said. As the baby inside of him grimaced, just looking at it. Too obvious, already taken. A frog? That's your summoning contract, too obvious, said Snappy. Look, it's Kakashi's old mask when he was in Anbu. I don't think that's a good idea, said Naruto. Why not, said Snappy. As she rubbed her temple. As Naruto scratched the back of his head, the fox isn't a fan of dogs. Sometimes it's easier to give him a bit of concession so he won't bother me as much, said Naruto as he rubbed the back of his head. Snappy raised his eyebrow but did not reply. If anyone knew the 90th fox, it was his host. Well, do you have a better idea? Naruto nodded. What about Itachi Uchiha mask, he said. Maybe Naruto asked because Itachi had helped defeat Madara in the war. Or maybe it was because to let the legacy of Uchiha clan live on, in some small form. Or maybe it was for Sasuke. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Snappy bit her lip and thought. As Itachi's mask had been passed through the Uchihas for history, but the Uchihas were no more. No one dared to pick it up. Snappy herself had never give it to anyone. As, just in case that unlikely person came across Sasuke on a mission. But Naruto was another matter completely. As Snappy turned towards the boar, masked Anbu in the corner. Bring me Crow, she said. He returned within seconds with the Anbu mask and the Anbu uniform as Snappy handed the mask to Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki, do you accept this mask? And in turn, accept the responsibilities of Anbu knowing the shadow when the rest of the world knows light. Naruto's heart was pounding. He hadn't felt like this since his academy graduation. I accept, he said, as he took a hold of the mask. So, am I Anbu now? No, said Snappy. Huh? Said Naruto a bit confused. You have accepted Anbu. Anbu has not accepted you. You must prove yourself and complete a mission before you're fully initiated. If you succeed, you will receive your sword and tattoo, and become a full-fledged member. If you fail, your memory will be erased by Yamanaka, and this night will never happen, she said. A mission? That's all, said Naruto. He defeated Madara and Pain, this should be easy. I'll be back before you can even hot up a cup of ramen, he said. Snazzy pulled out the folder and placed it on her decks. As Naruto looked at it, his eyes widened a bit when he saw what it was. What did he do? I can't tell you that, said Snazzy. As Naruto realized it was an assassination mission. I mean, it must have been something really bad, right, said Naruto. Naruto has never attacked someone unless he was being attacked first, and he always tries his hardest to keep his enemies alive, to take them in alive. Is this because I let Sasuke live, said Naruto. It has nothing to do with Sasuke, Snazzy said, sternly. A ninja can't be a ninja if they can't kill. Anbu cannot be Anbu if they can't kill an order. But Naruto did not believe her. It was mercy, he said. There is no room for mercy in Anbu. You have a week. Starting now, either you carry out the mission or not. Either you succeed or you don't. There was two parts of Snazzy right here. The Hokage part of her hoped that he succeed, but the Snazzy part of her hoped that he fail. Now put on your mask and take the folder. And do your mission, Crow, she said. As Naruto snatched the mask and the clothing angrily, as he jumped out into the ring. Snazzy could only rub her temples. What do you think, boy? She asked. The man shook his head. Uzumaki is too emotional. I can never imagine him wearing the mask. Meanwhile, as Naruto was angry, as he passed by his house, because of his rage, as he made his way into one of the forests, as he came to a stop on a single tree branch, as he looked up to the heavens as rain poured down on him, he knew that the Anbus were assassins, but it wasn't something he wanted to think about at the time. He was a hero, the one everyone came to with their problems. He was supposed to accept this task without hesitation. His doubts, his fears, his insecurity did not matter. So, he put on the mask, as tonight was going to be the change of everything, when he became something new. Time skip. As Naruto was dashing so quickly through the trees, it was like he was just a flash moving by. As he hopped from tree branch to tree branch, his ears then caught the sound of battle. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the forest. Without hesitation about his current mission that he had a week to complete, he rushed towards where the sound came from. He reached a winding dirt road. A cloud ninja was badly wounded. With one hand he held his badly soaked shoulder as the blood poured off his fingers dropped on the ground. The other hand was held to his chest as his fingers were crippled and burned badly. Two rogue ninjas were stepping closer to him, but careful, one of them had their eyes gouged out. The other had a heavy wound against his rib. But they still pushed forward. It was two of them and they could do this. As it did, two more dead ninjas from Kumo lay on both sides. One of the rogue ninja attacked, but his kunai was deflected as he looked up to see the white mass of the Anbu, Konoha. They didn't know what hit them as he was struck from behind, their bodies crumbling to the ground as he fell unconscious. As Naruto clones poof out of existence. With the rogue ninjas unconscious, Naruto turned to help the clone ninja, but he collapsed on the ground unconscious. As Naruto checked his pulse, the pale, blonde-haired ninja was alive, but he wouldn't be for too long. With a heavy sigh, he made more clones. For cleanup duty and pull, the clone ninja on his back. He couldn't just leave the ninja to die, after all. He had a week for his mission. It shouldn't take him too long to make a quick trip towards Kumo, and return back towards Rice Country where his target waited. But maybe this was a sign. Maybe he wasn't meant to complete his mission after all. Time skip. Naruto wasn't really a medic, so as a man was losing blood, he started to worry. Then the man would fall dead. He had patched him up as best as he could, but he couldn't be with his most grievous wounds. In the distance, he saw the mountains rising up in the sky, as the sun glinted off a flash of metal right towards his mask. As Naruto twists, avoiding the metal that was about to stab him right in the neck. But he did not see the tree, and at the speed he was going, he burst right through the wooden bark. As he burst through it and landed on his feet, cracking the ground underneath him. As the cloud ninja had fallen off, as he got up on his shaky legs. I should have known Konoha was behind this, he said, as he had his kunai and his hand was shaking badly. What? Said Naruto confused. Konoha and Kumo are allies. Naruto felt saddened by the look of distrust that he received. What made it worse, he couldn't even give a reassuring smile and tell the man that he knew the Hokage personally, because he couldn't give away his identity. Even though he was not a full-fledged member of the Anbu, yet he was sure that doing something like that would be against the rules. Look, I was passing by, I thought you might need help. I was taking you to Kumo. And why should I believe a Konoha dog, the man said. Even though Kumo and Konoha had fought a war beside each other, everyone knew that allies were just today and tomorrow. They were enemies. Because, as Naruto found himself at a loss. Look, as Naruto pulled out a scroll, the ninja tried to perform hand signs, preparing himself for anything, but his hands were too badly beaten up to do anything. As Naruto showed him the scroll, the body of your dead are in here. The Cloud Ninja looked confused. Why would a Konoha ninja do something like that? Because we're allies. Look, I'm no Hokage, but if you get on my back, I can have you home in no time. Just trust me. The Cloud Ninja did not, but he didn't have a choice. His team had been tracking a band of rogue ninjas that had been sabotaging and stealing. Through the line of lightning, they stole something rather valuable. When he and his comrades trapped them down there, they instead got ambushed. Now, the Cloud Ninja was stuck here with a Leaf Ninja who should have killed him because he suspected that Konoha was somehow involved with the rogue ninjas, and they sent him here to cover it up. If only his chakra system hadn't been poisoned, he could have healed his body by now. That is what he hated about being a medic, being in the backline of a formation, being the last one to die. He slumped back against the tree with a heavy breath. Fine, but I only require for you to take me to the end of the border. There are patrols that will sense us the moment that we cross. Once I'm there, I'll no longer need your assistance, the man said. Alright then, up we go, said Naruto as he pulled him by his arm, not too gently. Sorry about that. Stupid Konoha ninja, the man said. As Naruto started to move to the trees, the Cloud Ninja realized that he must have lost more blood than he thought, because at the speed that they were going, it should be impossible. No Anbu, especially a Konoha Anbu, was fast. Faster than the Hokage, this should be impossible. Yes, it was because of his blood loss. His mind was not taking things in account, or seeing things clearly. Time skip. The both of them stood in the small ditch as a fire, and the bull that was roasting over it. Hungry, said Naruto as he shoved it into the man's hand. The man looked at it. You poisoned it. What? Why would I do that? I just carried you on my back for 2 days, said Naruto. Then you eat it first, the man said. I have a mask on, said Naruto, as a Cloud Ninja huffed and placed down the food on the grass. Only a dog hide behind masks, he said, as Naruto's eye twitched violently. What, he spent preparing for the entire night. And aren't you guys supposed to be more animatic? The Cloud Ninja asked. Konoha Anbu was probably a joke. When you look at this one, the rumors that no one saw a Konoha Anbu and live was greatly over-exaggerated, but the Cloud Ninja wondered why he hadn't been killed yet. His condition, he could easily be erased. Maybe the ninja wanted information, or maybe he was sadistic, trying to give him hope, and then he would take it away at the last moment. Or maybe he was looking for a way into the cloud. Naruto chuckled as he scratched the back of his head. Yeah, I'm sort of new at this, he said. The Cloud Ninja snorted as he couldn't understand how this ninja managed to live for so long. As he leaned back against the tree, as his body was completely exhausted, he tried to keep an eye on his enemy, but he ended up falling asleep, not knowing if he'd wake up ever again. Time skip. The Kumo ninja breathed a sigh of relief as he finally crossed the Kumo border. Just put me down here, they'll come. Naruto nodded and placed him down against a set of rocks. You can go now, they'll find me. But how do you know? What if they don't come? I might have to take you all the way to Kumo. No, you won't. As far as the Cloud Ninja was concerned, this was as far as the Leaf Ninja will go inside this country. Fine, but I'll just stay here and make sure you're safe. The man blinked. Are all Leaf Ninjas as insane as you are? I guess not, said Naruto. The Cloud Ninja sat back, just as confused as when they just met. It's C, by the way. I know, said Naruto. I saw you from time to time during the war. Serious eyebrow. Do I know you? Probably not. I was just another soldier. I guess my name would be Crow, said Naruto, as he hoped it was convincing. C scoffed, as if I couldn't figure that out from the mask. Hopefully, C had hoped that his name would strike fear in his nonchalant opponent, but this man didn't seem to care. Was he just that strong, or was he just arrogant? Are you sure your friends are coming, Naruto asked. Of course they're coming, C said. You know, during the war, said Naruto, we all fought under the same symbol. Not anymore, said C. Those words echo across the winding road. These were the obstacles that you need to overcome. But reality always clashed against his imagination. You know, we're all the same, really. You, me, those rogue ninjas. We're all just human beings. C laughed as he wondered if Konoha was trying to get rid of this ninja. That is why he was sent out here. Kid, I really think they gave you the wrong mask. It should have been a donkey, said C. He doubted that the man even caught the insult. You know nothing of the real world. It's ugly, it's dark, and it's wicked and evil. But Naruto knew of ugly, dark, and evil. It resided in his stomach, It was a hateful look of his childhood, the random beatings. People passed him by in the alleyway while he was starving. Naruto was no stranger to darkness. For most of his childhood, everyone thought of him as the embodiment of true evil. Never really seen him, never really giving him a chance. Was it wrong to want to give people a chance? You're wrong, said Naruto. C couldn't help it as he burst out laughing. You don't quit, do you? Are you gonna talk me to death, C asked. It's what I do, said Naruto. Besides, it's boring around here. As Naruto looked up when he saw a hail of kunai coming down towards him, because all the Kumo ninja saw was a wounded comrade, and that was C, and an enemy ninja standing there, perhaps trying to get information out of him. But then something strange happened. Naruto moved, but he barely did, and the kunai just passed him. What the hell? Stop, said C. He's helping me. Yeah, as he said Naruto. Now stop throwing things at me and get him a medic. He's badly wounded. Don't move, the leader shouted. As another one jumped down and placed his hand on C that started to glow green. As C realized that he might just make it back home to his sister and girlfriend. Let him go, C said. He's not coming any further. As C was helped up. Oh wait, said Naruto to the scroll as he jumped. Well, he was a bit too fast. As a streak of lightning hit him, they thought he was about to attack. But Naruto poofed away as the scroll dropped to the ground. Make sure he doesn't cross the border, the squad leader said. As the squad leader looked towards C, did you find the sword? No, said C. When they couldn't find Leaf Ninja, C had to ask, do you think he was really trying to help me out? The commander scoffed. We're ninjas. Meanwhile, the real Naruto was already halfway towards the rice country. As he landed on a tree branch out of the village, his first step was into as he created 10 clones and transformed them into small animals and sent them towards the village. As the real Naruto sat back against the tree, as he waited there, as he got the members of one of his clones that got smashed with a broom, the housewife saw him as a mouse and smashed him. It took a while, but he mentally gathered all the information from his clones. As Naruto pulled a kunai and threw it behind him, but it was blocked. As the Anbu emerged, he had a raccoon mask. Well, he should have guessed that they sent someone to watch over him, as he had a leaf sigil on him. With a shrug, he ignored the man and went to observe his target. From what Naruto could tell Yamamoto Kincharu, his target was a farmer. He was an ordinary rice farmer. The man ate, slept, who he talked to. Naruto watched all of it. As the hours passed, Naruto started to reflect. He didn't want to do this anymore. The man wasn't doing anything, he was just a rice farmer. He was not plotting or doing anything. There had to be something. As Naruto tried to convince himself, there wouldn't be any reason to assassinate someone who was just a rice farmer. After not doing anything, the sun was setting though and his last day was coming to an end. He decided to try a different tactic as he transformed into one of the villagers, a man that he saw Yamamoto talk to this morning. Maybe, if the man saw someone familiar, he could talk about his wrongdoings. As he found the man pulling up a bucket of water to the well, he was struggling as the water topped over the side. There was no way this man was a ninja. Oi, said Naruto. He then realized his voice was too high and loud for the person that he was mimicking. As Yamamoto looked up in shock, his foot slipped, his head hit right against a stone, and he fell into the well. Time skip. You killed him and took him to the clinic, said Nadia. She didn't know what to say on that. But I didn't do anything, said Naruto. He was sure that when he came here that Yamanaka would be waiting for him. Nadia, you were sent off with all the weapons that you had on you. You didn't make any extra stops. No extra preparation. Positive move, stopping, could have jeopardized the mission and your identity. Found your target within hours of arriving to the village, without anyone noticing. Positive. Notice the presence of one of your exam proctor, Raccoon, who's one of the stealthiest member of the Anbu. Double positive. Use only 2 jutsu for the entire mission. Positive. Showcase, created the use of a few jutsu. Positive. Kill target without any jutsu at all and made the death seem like an accident. Positive, she said. It took all 7 days for you to complete your mission. Negative, she said, as she placed the paper down. The proctor is not as fast as you, and you lost your trail. But when you arrived at the village, you were nowhere to be found. Naruto, where were you for the first 6 days? Naruto chuckled awkwardly. I got lost, he said. There's a map in your holster, said Tsunade in disbelief. Those things are hard to read, said Naruto. Tsunade shook her head. So you want me to believe that you truly got lost? Come on, it's kind of embarrassing. You don't have to say it so loud. Tsunade wagged her finger. I don't believe you. I think that you were stalling for time, I think. You were not going to go through with the mission. Well, it was an accident, said Naruto for the 4th time. I didn't mean to kill him. Hearing his voice, Tsunade believed him. But you succeeded in the mission, she said. As Naruto crossed his arms, I don't want to be Anbu. The way he acted so childishly in his Anbu uniform, it was comical. Accident or not, you pass. It seems like you might have a knack for this, she said. Naruto pulled the mask off and threw it at her. He didn't want to have a knack for killing people. That was one of his positive traits. That separated him from the Kyuubi. Tsunade slammed her hand on the table. Naruto, have you stopped to think that your abilities will be more effective in this kind of work than on the open field? It may be dirty, but you can prevent a lot of people from dying. I don't see how killing a rice farmer saved the village, said Naruto in anger. Tsunade flipped the desk over in her anger, as he was getting riled up and so was she. As she poked him, that rice farmer is an escaped convict that has butchered over 13 children. As Naruto could not find his voice after that, the man looked so innocent and he didn't know. You killed someone, but you did something well, she said. Why didn't you tell me all that, said Naruto. At first glance, he didn't look so bad. Sometimes they don't, she said. She kept on poking him. You're missing the entire point of this mission. He ran a hand through his hair. Then what's the point? I don't see it. It is trust. Did you really think I would just send you to kill some rice farmer? Do you really believe I would do something like that? No, said Naruto. But what if you had made a mistake? What if he was innocent? Then I would be the one that was making the mistake. Not you, Naruto, she said, as she sat back down in her chair. As she released a heavy sigh. I made mistakes, I can admit that. But I need to trust that you can carry out my orders without hesitating. I need you to have trust in me that I know what I'm doing. That is, after all, what being a Hokage is all about. As Naruto could not believe the irony. He was asking a allied ninja from Kumo to trust him all week, and yet he couldn't even trust his own Hokage to follow her orders. As Naruto flipped back over her decks, so what is it going to be? Can I trust you with the well-being of this village? Can I trust that you're going to follow my orders no matter how much they don't make sense at the time? Can I trust that you will kill when I need you to? As Naruto felt a heaviness over his heart. Now he could understand what the Cloud Ninja was going through. Trust was hard. I think so, he said. That's not good enough. I'll always protect the village. That was the best answer he could give. Tsunade sighed, she signed the papers, proving that he officially passed. But Naruto Uzumaki didn't know if he could trust himself. Time skip. There's one final test and it says you organize Naruto file. And this one is really dangerous. Do I have to kill someone again, said Naruto. No, said Tsunade. Listen to me, said Tsunade, if you fail, your dreams of becoming Hokage are over. The Leaf Village will lose one of his best assets and best shinobis. You damn well better pass, she said. I will, I promise, he said, as he wasn't wearing the Anbu gear or mask. Tsunade went through several locked seals to get towards the Anbu headbook. She placed the book on the table. This is all the rules you have to memorize by the end of the week. You will be tested on them at your initiation. So, this is dangerous, said Naruto, confused. Tsunade sighed. Details of the ceremony are all inscribed in the manual. Please tell me that you will have it all memorized by the end of the week. He really wasn't the best at these kind of stuff. Sure, he said. That's what shadow clones are for. Don't worry, Granny, I can handle it. I made it this far, haven't I? As he jumped through the window again and headed home, he heard Tsunade cursing at him as he made his way. Well, at least it was a window this time. As Naruto made his way, as he went down the darker path of Konoha, the path that the clones ignore, as someone was sent sailing through a first store window as he dropped on the ground. This was a usual occurrence. This is where the brothels were. Even after the reconstruction, Konoha fell into the same old routines. But this was home to Naruto Uzumaki's apartment building, was in the center of this illegal wasteland. When he was younger, the third provided an apartment for him, but the landlady kept on raising the rent, and then he was put out on the street. But in this district, cheap housing was there that he could afford. By the time that the third found out what happened and offered him his old apartment back, Naruto had already settling here. As Naruto's friends were all blinded by his smile and carefree attitude, that he always find himself in shock when they visit this place. All of them tried to convince him to move. He could have moved. He had the perfect opportunity to move after reconstruction. But he fell into old routines. Standing at the corner of the street was Miko. She came from a ninja family, but her parents died a long time ago on a mission, leaving her orphan as she had fled from the orphan system. Naruto knew what that felt like. It was hard enough without being considered a demon. As Miko leaned against a wall, skirt short and low shirt, high heels. Where have you been, she said, as she had a cigarette between her lips. Mission, said Naruto. This was the part where Miko would offer a service to anyone else, but Naruto was different, and he wouldn't do something like that. One of your ninja buddies were snooping around here. Oh, said Naruto. That pink-headed bitch, said Miko. You screwing her, Miko asked. Naruto blushed as Miko snickered. Just asking, Miko said. She seemed pretty worried about you though. Usually, he would tell Sakura when he's leaving for a mission, but this time, it was so abrupt. He would have to find a way to meet up to her. Thanks, said Naruto. As Miko saw the look under his eyes, he seemed tired. As he made his way up the stairs, as something fell at Miko's feet. I told you, Uzumaki, I don't want your money. Don't pity me, she said. As Naruto was used to yelling as he unlocked his door and removed the seals as he went inside, Miko stopped her curses when he went inside. She looked at her feet where the money was. She picked it up anyways, no point in wasting it. Miko knew that she could just pick another corner, but she just kept on coming back here. Everyone knew that Naruto Uzumaki was the only decent guy in this neighborhood. He had taken Miko in one night when she had a rough night with a client. He shared his ramen with many of the orphans that were roaming the streets, and everyone here was grateful for him and thankful as well. As Miko leaned up against the wall, a ninja life was hard after all. Their hands were soaked in blood. She had seen many ninjas come through here for a bit of enjoyment, a pleasure, time or something, because their life was empty. And she was the one that was getting worried, and kind of worried about Naruto now, as she wondered if he was doing okay. Meanwhile, as Naruto collapsed on his bed, the stock, instant ramen in his cabinets was a proof that Sakura stopped by, as he was trying to get some sleep, but the couple next door was arguing. As he pulled out the book, if mortally wounded in battle, you must destroy your body at all costs to prevent enemy from capturing your corpse. Below is a list of jutsu that would accomplish this task. Naruto quickly flipped through another page. The initiation ceremony consists of several parts. Recitation of the creed, review over the rules, signing of the contract seal, and your services to the Hokage, and the final test. As he flipped once again, an Anbu must not only be physically strong, but mentally as well. The test is a powerful Genjutsu simulation that will test your physical capability under high pressure situations. He had no idea how to prepare for a test like that, and he did not understand why it could be so life-threatening. As Naruto heard loud footsteps, as he moved towards his door. As he opened it, someone crashed inside right at his feet. As Naruto turned and looked at his visitor, Tomo wasn't an orphan, but soon he would be. His mother was critically ill and constantly in and out of hospital. They barely had enough money to pay the medical expensive bill, so Tomo had stooped to doing local errands for the gangs. Judging from the limp in his foot, and also the heavy bleeding from the right side of his face, things weren't going so well for him. You know where the bandages are, said Naruto as he decided to make some ramen, as Tomo picked himself up and pulled the first aid kit from the cabinet. Naruto could offer to help, but he knew that it was better this way. He knew what it was like to be too stubborn and be too proud. Sometimes he wished he could enlist Sakura, but the children didn't trust her, they trust him. They ran to him when things were desperate, and more often than not, he received a lot of gratitude. The ramen was ready by the time he faced himself up. He limped over towards the table where a bowl was waiting for him. So, how's your mom, said Naruto. The doctor said that she's getting better. He slurped on his noodles, but they're wrong. As Naruto could see the fear across the boy's face, the fear that soon he would be alone. A knock came at the door. It was hard, rough, and threatened to break the door down. I didn't do it, both of them said at the same time, as Tomo looked towards Naruto. I swear I don't know who destroyed the Hokage's window, said Naruto. As Tomo smiled, I have no idea who stole that watch, he said. As Naruto shook as he opened the door, 4 big thugs were standing there. Where's that punk? The smallest one asked. Even though he was the smallest, he was the most dangerous. He was a retired ninja. He looked over Naruto as he saw Tomo at the table, flipping him off. I haven't seen any punks around here, said Naruto. The man snarled. You can't protect him forever. No, Naruto could not. He knew that. Here was somewhere to rest before the man had to go back to his life. And life always came for you, whether you wanted it or not. Next time, kid, the thug said, I'll kill you. And if anything happens to him, I'll be coming after you, said Naruto. The thug quickly backed away. He might be big and bad around here, but he knew who he was dealing with. As him and his friends quickly left, fear in their eyes. You were gone, Mission, Tomo asked. Yeah, said Naruto. You know, I still don't understand why you're a ninja. They're cool, and they can scare the shit out of good-for-nothing thugs, said Naruto. Tomo looked towards his bowl, but ninjas die. Like my dad, he said. Not me, said Naruto. I have to become Hokage first so I can declare a national holiday just for ramen. Tomo laughed. They never let you do that. Besides, Dango is so much better. What? Said Naruto. You heard me. As Naruto's eye twitched violently. No, I'm gonna have to throw you out, he said. I like to see you try, said Tomo as he jumped on the couch. As the boy laid his head down, he seemed to be real exhausted because he passed out the next second. As Naruto chuckled a bit, He got a blanket and threw it over the boy as he went to get some sleep of his own. As Naruto woke up, early dawn, as Tomo was gone, along with the money in his frog wallet. Well, he did left it right in front of the couch, wide open, as Naruto did on purpose. It wasn't enough money to save his mother, but at least it would give her more time. And everyone deserved more time with their mother. There was a reason why Naruto was not the richest shinobi in the village, despite being a hero of the war, even though he inherited the royalties from Jiraiya Ichi series, which was a hefty sum. Naruto and Tsunade had an arrangement to use the funds to pay for her gambling debt. And Naruto didn't feel proud making money off that smut. Not to mention, he didn't use money that often, yes. Ramen and daily expenses, but Naruto wasn't a person that would go around and buy a lot of things. As Naruto copied the book after creating several clones as he started to get to it, Naruto might be the person that saved the world from Madara. But when he came home, people like Meiko and Tomo, this is what people did not know about him. His real life. As Naruto studied the book until his eyes ached. Time skip. As Naruto stood on top of Hokage's tower, as he was dressed in his Anbu gear. Ready? Naruto was itching to get this over with. He did not know how long all the information would stay in his brain for. Tsunade nodded. She has watched this ceremony happen a couple times now. But she was more anxious than before, because it was who was behind the mask. As Tsunade jumped from the rooftop as Naruto followed, it was Tsunade who handpicked her soldiers who served her. Not only not, but died for her. They disappeared inside the cave of the 5 Hokage heads, as there was a long winding tunnel inside. The hallways were so twisted, Naruto felt like he was turned around several times. They stopped in front of 2 large double doors. For all the hell of him, he couldn't remember his way back. The Hokage motioned for Naruto to enter first, and as he did, the doors closed behind him. The darkness was thick, even with his enhanced senses. He could not smell or hear. It was like he stepped into a void that trapped everything in the unending darkness. Light came from 2 candles. Near it was a katana and small kunais on display in the scabbard, and a contract that would sign his life away to the Hokage. Children, I have brought a new brother to join the shadows, said Tsunade. Lights flicker around to show that Naruto was surrounded. There were 4 Anbu captains along with the Hokage that boxed him in. The captains bowed toward the Hokage before they looked at Naruto. Only the shadows can judge, they said. What are the different assignment classifications? The question came so fast he almost missed it, but he was ready for this. Extraction, espionage, assassination, and infiltration. When, if ever, should our identities be compromised? Never. Unless the Hokage instructed under specific code words. The other captains threw questions after question, as Naruto answered all of them. Who are you? I'm Crow, said Naruto. We are the shadows that the tree casts. The blood that spilled from our enemies. The fear known in the dark. The stench of the death of rotting corpses. And the secrets of Konoha are in the shadow. Known as Crow. Sign your name if that is who you truly are. As Naruto picked up the kunai and slashed into his shoulder as he signed the kanji shadow. As he gripped the katana, the moment he did, the words popped into his mind. Only the shadows can judge as a Genjutsu activated. When Naruto opened back his eyes, he was looking around, and the large horizon had stretched all around. As he couldn't see anything, the place was large. He tried to enter sage mode to see if he could pick up anything, but he could not. He tried to make a clone, but to no use. His cloak was burned and in tatters as he picked up a cloth from the ground. 6 Hokage. Huh? What the hell? He picked himself up and started to walk. What happened? A deep dark chuckle crept into the air as Naruto knew that killing intent at the back of his hand. Blood was on the ground as the chakra started to leak from them, and it bubbled into a complete form. The massive fox stood in front of him. What happened? Said Naruto as he crossed his arms. The movement of his hand made him notice a wound on his shoulder that was increasing in pain. The fox looked down at the pest that had caged him for years, who had the nerve to keep him like some disobedient dog. Don't you remember? We killed him. We killed them all. Naruto paled at that. As the beast brought its hand down, Naruto tried to form a Rasengan, but he was sent sailing away as he could not. He crashed through rubble and rolled until he had a mouth full of dirt. He could feel his body ache as he tried to get up. He managed to roll over, but he yelled as the fox brought down his paw. It's just you and me. The nine-tailed snare. He decreased in size, but he increased his accuracy as he plunged one of his claws into Naruto's stomach, right where the seal used to be. As a dark, pitch-black hole was formed in Naruto's stomach, as Naruto screamed out in agony and pain, He brought his hand up by force, trying to form hand signs. The chakra would not react at all, as the fox went down and grabbed his left arm and started to rip it off. As he was being pulled apart as the fox grabbed him with one of his tail and started ripping bones, tendons, started to be ripped from the socket as Naruto was losing consciousness. Suddenly, a large amount of the Kyuubi chakra pumped into his body. As he returned, piece by piece, form by form, the rapid formation of his body set off a pounding headache. As his head was trembling, a scream was ripped from his throat as a claw pressed on his legs and crushed them. "I eat crows for breakfast," said the fox. "Stop," said Naruto as he coughed up blood. But the fox simply laughed. Time skip. All of Konoha heard Naruto as he woke up in the hospital, as he ripped the ivy from his skin as he rushed towards the bathroom and puked. He checked over his body frantically, but there wasn't blood anywhere or scars. "That was fun. We should do it again," the fox said in an amusing tone. "That was not fun," said Naruto. "You should get a sense of humor." "Screw you," said Naruto. "You did," the fox said. "It wasn't fair." B and Hatsumi got along well together, but even after all this time fighting Madara together, him and the Kyuubi could not see eye to eye. After the war, after the pull and tug between their chakra, the Kyuubi had gotten more reckless and Naruto had to chain him down. The chasm of the Kyuubi's hatred was deep. "Why?" said Naruto. "It's what I do," said the Kyuubi. "We're not friends, and we'll never be friends," the fox said. "As long as I'm trapped here, we'll always be enemies." Moments later, as Sakura Haruno, head nurse of the hospital, found their longtime friend and teammate sitting on the floor of the hospital. As his face was pale, looked like he was just throwing up. "Naruto, what are you doing?" "Get back in bed," she said. "If I ever escape, she'll be the first to go," said Kurama. As Naruto had snapped up as he looked at Sakura, as his robe had been torn apart because of his haste. As he got to his feet, blushing a bit, this stumbling idiot was Naruto that she knew, not the one a moment ago that looked like he was bathed in nothing but misery. As she pulled him up, helped him to stand fully. "Sakura, I can handle it," he said. She did not doubt that he could. After all, he was admitted into the hospital without any physical wound. Still, she was concerned and helped him to sit back on the hospital bed, just in case she checked his vitals and they were stable. As Sakura was the one to attend to Naruto, she was the only doctor to do so because, well, the tattoo on his shoulder. Golden streaks with the tattoo. As a head medic of Konoha, she has healed her share of Anbus that only she and Tsunade could heal because their wounds were so gruesome and deadly. She never knew their code names or masks, only the tattoo she saw, because some of them got their masks torn apart and their face badly slashed. "Tsunade gave me the option of joining Anbu," Sakura said softly, as she reached in the closet to retrieve a new robe for him. It had been one of those days. Naruto wasn't emerging from his apartment, and she had little to no sleep when she lost a little girl on the operating table. Sakura never noticed until Tsunade offered her a mask how little a ninja career meant to her. She went to the Ninja Academy because Sasuke went to the Ninja Academy. She excelled in class to prove herself and gain Sasuke's attention. She became a ninja because Sasuke was a ninja. Her entire childhood was centered around Sasuke. Back then, she was ignorant to the world, as innocent and as ignorant as a child who died right under her hands. She was surrounded by death. It was as equally present in the hospital as it was on the battlefield. It was by her own choice she decided on which field she would fight. Older, experienced, and more world weary, she handed back the master Tsunade with pride. "I declined. There are plenty of field medics, but only one of me. I am more useful to the village, run the hospital, especially since Tsunade is kept busy as Hokage. Smartest thing she has ever done. Weak civilian like her wouldn't go far," said Kurama. "I think you're awesome, Sakura," said Naruto. She turned towards his easy grin. "Is that why you went on a mission so suddenly, a few weeks ago?" "On Anbu mission?" she asked. "How do you know? I'm not supposed to." "It's on your arm, Naruto," she said. Sakura giggled as she watched him try to pull his shoulder right towards his eye. When he saw the tattoo, his memory triggered. "Oh crap, did I pass?" "You did." They turned and Tsunade was standing at the door. "Sakura, I need to talk to Naruto alone." "Yes, Tsunade-sama," said Sakura as she bowed. "And as I'm certain that you already guessed, this is a highly classified secret," said Tsunade, as Sakura nodded in understanding. "So, I passed," said Naruto, as Sakura left. "The only condition was for you to survive," she said. "What you saw, what happened to you was not part of the plan. It was supposed to be a simple genjutsu, something like the Falls of Truth, but the Kyuubi interfered." Tsunade thought that Naruto would be jumping around screaming at her angrily. Well, she saw the torture that he was put through. Even the Anbus who had seen some sick, twisted things through their career, they were relieved when Tsunade gave them the option to make the Yamanakas tamper with their memories. But Snad did not take that option. She was Hokage. She had to bear it and see through. You're not mad, she asked. Naruto shrugged. Even if he was, there was no point yelling to her about it. The fox has always been his problem and he will handle it alone. Can I get out of here? Naruto asks. I really hate hospitals. Snad stood Naruto in front of her. At this point, she was willing to forgive anything. I'll turn a blind eye if you get some rest, she said. Then I want you to see me tomorrow after getting fully rest. There are more protocols that we have to go over. Naruto brightened with a smile as he was through the window already. It always amazed her how strong he has become. Only someone that has went through so much as him could keep a smile on their face after that. Naruto did not go straight home though. Is it ready yet? He asked. Although he knew the exact time it took for her to cook because he memorized them from he was little. Ayam hit him right in the forehead with a wooden spoon. You're always so impatient, she teased. It's your fault, you know, she said as she gestured towards the crowded ramen stand. It became popular ever since everyone knew that Naruto was the hero of the village. Other customers were sneaking a peek at him. A group of girls were mumbling with his name on their tongue, but none joined in. They all looked at a distance, like he was an idol that was not supposed to be touched. As Naruto wasn't comfortable with it all, having this many people looked at him with those sparkling eyes and happiness. It was just so different, and it was strange, like a new pair of shoes that you hadn't yet fit into comfortably. All of them deserve to die. After all, a few years ago, they talked behind your back like you were a piss. And now they want to see you as a hero? You should squash them. No matter how much a truth was coming from the fox tone, Naruto ignored him as he took it, placed a large bowl in front of him. He quickly went back to the kitchen, no Naruto appetite, as Naruto started to devour the ramen. Look at how they're staring at you, as if there wasn't the one to beat you in the street, and now they're happy with you. Hey, Naruto, you alright? Through the fox taunting, his face might have changed a bit, as Ayam noticed that. When she tried to walk over to him after a blink, he was gone. As she rushed over to the bowl where it was half eaten. Dad! Naruto did not finish his ramen, she said. Toki came out perplexed and shocked. Meanwhile, as Naruto found himself in his mindscape after, sitting down somewhere comfortably, as he looked in front of him, at the fox. I'll make the cage smaller and muzzle you again, said Naruto. The fox growled at him. I'll escape this prison, and you will pay for my humiliation. Someday I'm gonna die, and you'll be coming with me, said Naruto. I refuse to let anyone else suffer your hatred. The fox snarled as he scraped against the bars. I will not die, fool. Are you so sure about that, said Naruto. For 18 years now, your chakra has been linking into mine, and soon enough we will become inconnection. The more that happens, the more you're so desperate to escape. I think we're reaching a point soon where we can never be apart in life and death. I'll destroy you, the fox roared. I don't hate you, you know. I pity you, said Naruto. I'm gonna give you another chance. I won't muzzle or cage you, but if you continue to tell me to kill everyone I see in the streets, I will. You don't order me around, boy, the fox said. The two stood just staring at each other, as Naruto couldn't understand why he thought that Sasuke was his greatest rival. This was his greatest rival in front of him. I am not the one in the cage, said Naruto. As he turned and walked away, the fox simply chuckled at him walking away. Time skip. As Naruto was currently sitting down in his apartment, he was in nothing but his boxers, as he was making himself some breakfast. I'm impressed. As Naruto's eye twitched in annoyance as Kakashi was sitting on his windowsill. Why do you always show up when I'm wearing basically nothing, he said. Kakashi pulled down his book from his face. Yaoi is not my kind of kunai, but if it's your choice of weapon, I don't judge. Naruto didn't even know what he was talking about as he made his way to get dressed. As Naruto smelled something burning, he rushed back to the kitchen after putting on his sweatpants and shirt. As Kakashi was sitting there, his back turned to the room as he was looking out the window, reading his book. Why are you here? Naruto said in annoyance. I hear that the captains had an appointment with the Yamnaka. What did you do? Naruto couldn't figure out how Kakashi knew everything, even information that was supposed to be a secret. The fox said Naruto as he started another pot of noodles. Normally he would have eaten the burnt set, but Sakura stacked his cabinets. I take it you haven't seen the Hokage yet. I was going to after I ate breakfast, said Naruto. The tattoo, said Kakashi, should be transformed at all times whenever you're not wearing a mask. Oh, that makes sense, said Naruto, as the tattoo disappeared, as he made it look like its normal skin. As a knock came on the door as Naruto made his way over, as Sakura stood there. She saw Kakashi at the window. Good morning, Kakashi, she said. As Kakashi gave her a yo, she pushed Naruto aside. Naruto, how many times do I tell you it's not healthy to live like this? As she kicked the empty ramen containers and clothes on the floor. There could be rats. I haven't gotten around to it yet, said Naruto. Seriously, you can make 100 of yourself, and you haven't gotten to it yet? She then sniffed. What's burning? Oh crap, said Naruto. But guys, the instance right here. If you want the next person to do Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way. If you enjoyed this and want to see part 2, go ahead and tell me, guys, and I'll be posting that as soon as possible. But I'm for now, so guys, soon. Peace.